students, welcome back to my channel. On my channel, you can get videos on NCERT social topics, GK and current affairs for all competitive exams, political science topic for UGC NET exam. If you didn't subscribe my channel yet, please subscribe to my channel. Click the bell icon so that you can get the notification of my new videos. Like and share my videos. Let us start with the topic. This is part 2 of class 10th economics chapter 2 sectors of the Indian economy. In part 1 we have discussed about the sectors of the Indian economy, primary, secondary and tertiary sector. In this part we will discuss about comparison of three sectors, what is GDP, history of the development of each sector, reasons of development of tertiary sector, unemployment and disguised unemployment, how more employment can be created, difference between organized and unorganized sector, difference between public and private sector. We often see in our surrounding several people do different kinds of activities in different sectors. Some people do work in primary sector, some people do activities in secondary sector and some people do activities in tertiary sector and they earn money for their livelihood. So how their income is calculated and how these three sectors are compared with each other, this is the big question, because according to the production of these three sectors, we can calculate the income of any country and we can also know about the GDP of any country. For calculating the income of any country, the value of goods and services is calculated because it is very difficult to calculate the each and every item separately and it is very hectic work also. So instead of calculating income of each and every item, we calculate the value of goods and services. For example, one farmer sells 10,000 kg wheat at the rate of 8 rupees per kg. The value of wheat is 80,000 rupees. One coconut vendor sells 5,000 coconut at the rate of 10 rupees per kg. The value of coconut is then 50,000 rupees. So we add this value. For knowing about the income of goods and services, we calculate the value of goods and services. For doing the comparison of three sectors, first we find out the value of final goods and services of each sector and then we calculate the income of each sector. And on the basis of calculation of value of goods and services, we also find out which sector produce highest and which sector produce least in a particular year. And in this way, we can also find out the economical status and the economical growth of any country. Simultaneously, we can also find out the GDP of any country. What is GDP of any country? GDP means gross domestic product. From this flow chart, you can easily understand about the GDP and you can make your own definition. GDP means the sum total of value of final goods and services in primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector in a particular year within a country. Means GDP is the value of final goods and services produced by the each sector in a particular year within a country. For knowing about the concept of value of final goods and services, take one example of tertiary sector. One farmer sells wheat to flour mill at the rate of 8 rupees per kg. Then the flour mill sells flour to biscuit factory at the rate of 10 rupees per kg. And in market it is available at the rate of 60 rupees per packet. Here biscuit factory added labor charge, ingredient charge, then the transport charge. So the value of final goods and service is 60 rupees per packet. Here this 8 rupees and 10 rupees will not be added separately because these are intermediaries cost. In GDP, intermediary costs are not added because already in final goods and services all charges are included. So no need to add intermediary cost separately. Now the question is, who calculates the GDP of India? India's Central Statistic Office calculates the nation's gross domestic product GDP. Now we should know about the historical changes in sectors. As far as primary sector is concerned, primary sector is mainly dependent upon the nature. So the existence of primary sector is being seen from the beginning of the civilization. Then secondary sector. After the Industrial Revolution, secondary sector came into existence. Due to increase of the population and the various needs of the people started manufacturing the item in a bulk for satisfying the needs of the people. In this way, secondary sector activities started. Then tertiary sector. In the past 100 years, due to increase of the population, increase of the literacy rate, globalization and various other reasons, the tertiary sector developed a lot. Now, through this chart, we will try to understand the development of primary, secondary and tertiary sectors in India. Up to 1973 to 1974, the production of primary sector was highest in India. That's why the primary sector was on the top position in India. Then tertiary sector was on second position and the secondary sector was on third position. But in 2013 to 14, scenario changed. Tertiary sector became the highest producer sector in India from second to first. Then secondary sector became the second highest producer sector in India from third to second. And the primary sector, which was the highest sector up to 1973 to 1974, became the lowest producer sector in India from first position to last position. So how these changes occurred and what are the reasons behind the development of tertiary sector a lot, we will discuss the reasons in points. Here I wrote the reasons of development of the tertiary sector in India. First I wrote the short point, then I expanded the points because this is the best way of writing in social subject. If you write in this way in exam, I am 100% assuring you that you can score full marks for this type of answer. And this is also easy to understand the concept, memorizing the point and writing the stress-free exam. First point is due to need of basic services. Due to increase of production, the needs of basic services also increased. Like nowadays, everywhere, hospitals, bank, schools, colleges, transport, communication, police station, etc. are required. Then development of primary and secondary sector. Nowadays, in primary and secondary sector, various scientific and latest technologies are used. Due to use of latest technologies and the scientific methods, production also increased in primary and secondary sector. Due to the increase of production, the demand of transport, communication, markets also increased. Then increase of income. Many people work in tertiary sector, and in tertiary sector income is almost all 10%, 20% more than the primary and secondary sector. You can see the difference between earning of a farmer and the person who is working in MNC, means multinational company. So, due to increase of income also, people like spending money in shopping mall, theater, exploring different place, dining in restaurants, etc. Due to increase of income, the needs of these type of services also increased. Then information and communication technology. Due to development of information and technology, the demand of computer, mobile and the demand of the other services which is based on information and technology also increased. Then globalization. Nowadays, due to globalization, the entire world interacted with each other. Now, the entire world became as a small village. Due to the development of information and communication technology and other things, people prefer to purchase the imported item. So nowadays, we prefer to purchase the Apple phone, Samsung electronics item and Sony and these all things. Due to the globalization, many MNCs also are established in India. Due to these regions, the tertiary sectors developed a lot. As we have seen that the production of tertiary sector enhanced a lot, but the question is, employment also enhanced as per the production? No, employment didn't increase as per the production. Production increased in tertiary sector almost 14% more than the earlier time, but the employment increased only 5% more than the earlier time. Let us see this chart. From this chart, you can easily understand the people involvement in different activities or sector and the contribution in GDP. Here, 49% people are involved in primary sector activities. 27% are involved in tertiary sector. 24% are involved in secondary sector. But as far as GDP is concerned, primary sector gives only 15% GDP to the country. Then the secondary sector 27% GDP and tertiary sector 58% GDP. In tertiary sector, least employment, although tertiary sector gives the highest GDP to the country. And in primary sector, which gives the least GDP to the country, highest employment, 49%. In tertiary sector, least employment is there due to high educational qualification and skills and less job creation. From this chart, we can easily understand that in primary sector, employment is more than requirement. This gives the way to the disguised unemployment. Disguised unemployment means if 5 people are needed for doing any job, 8 people are involved for doing the same kind of work. Means 3 people output is 0. So this is disguised unemployment, about which you have already studied in 9th class. You always remember that there is difference between underemployment or disguised employment. Underemployment means if engineer do the work of clerk, means he is doing the work less than his potential. This is underemployment. Disguised employment means the employment is more than requirement, as I have given the example here. From our previous discussions, we came to know that many people are facing the problem of underemployment and disguised unemployment, especially in the agriculture sector. And many people are also unemployed at all. So how to create more jobs for giving the employment of maximum number of the people? Let us see. Again, I made the short points and explained the point. You should write these points in your notebook. It will help you to make your own notes, and it will also help you to write your exam stress-free. First, by providing loans at the cheap rate. Suppose one farmer grew one crop in a year. If government provides loans at the cheap rate, then the farmer can opt the artificial irrigation method and the scientific methods for growing the crops. So with the help of the latest technology and irrigation, farmer can grow the multi-crops in a year. If farmer do the multi-cropping, it will help to create more employment in rural areas. Through good connectivity and transportation. Suppose one farmer produce good amount of grains. So the farmer will need the market for selling his items. So if government will construct good roads in rural areas and will provide the transport facilities to the farmers at the cheap rate, then it will help to create more employment in rural areas. Then setting up the factories in semi-rural areas. Setting of industries in semi-rural areas also will create the more employment in rural areas. For instance, if government opens the cold storage in rural areas, then farmers can store potatoes, onion, tomatoes and these kinds of things in the cold storage, and this will give the motivation to the farmer to grow more crops. In this way, the more employment also can be created. By establishing schools and colleges. In India, around 60% population come under 5 to 29 age groups. This age group especially belongs to school and college going students. So if government will establish schools and colleges for providing education to all, for opting the concept of right to education, around 20 lakhs more jobs can be created according to the estimation of the Niti Aayog, because still in India only 51% of the college going and school going students are getting education. Then through promotion of tourism, if every state will promote the tourism, around 35 lakhs more jobs can be created according to the estimation of Niti Aayog. What is Niti Aayog? Niti Aayog is the changed name of the Planning Commission, which makes plans for the development of entire country. In 2015, Planning Commission name is changed as Niti Aayog. Is your homework, write the full form of Niti Aayog. Government of India makes short-term plans for overcoming the problems of unemployment time to time. One of the most important or famous programs is the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. This act came into effect for providing the assistance to the people, those who are facing the problem of seasonal unemployment. Seasonal unemployment is especially faced by the rural people and mainly by the farmers. Those who involved in farming, they remain unemployed for 5 to 6 months, because farming work is mainly done for 5 to 6 months. So for providing employment to these people, Government of India started this plan. This act came into effect in 2005. It was started in 200 districts, but in current time it is implemented in 625 districts. What is the provision under this act? Government provides at least 100 days employment to the rural people. In the lack of employment, if government is not able to provide 100 days employment to the rural people, in this condition, government will give the unemployment allowances to the rural people.